welcome to Bases Loaded here with you three guys, Brandon, Blake, and Chris. It has been a while since we've been on. Schedules are sometimes tough to coordinate with everything going on, so we try and get on when we can. So this should be a fun episode today. The big story I'd say over the last couple of days is Aaron Judge side eye again when he's playing in Toronto. Weird. It was very weird. Everyone thought he was cheating because literally he does it, and the next pitch he hits a bomb home run. So everyone asked him, like everyone's like, "Are the Yankees cheating?" And I'm thinking to myself, "Well, they've always been cheating. They just haven't gotten caught."
Yeah, no,
I
it
think
was it
every
was
team has cheated,
Oh yeah,
and
but I don't think this situation was cheating. I think this situation was more so a pitcher not realizing he was tipping his pitches
pitches, yeah,
and the team taking advantage of said situation. Because I know Jay Jackson, the one of the pitchers, he said that he was told he was tipping his pitches after the game, so like he was aware of it. And it's one of those things where it's like you have pitch come for a reason, man. If you're sitting there with an exposed exposed view and showing your pitches, like guys are going to take advantage of
or
that.
like
It's the
I
unwritten rules of the
know a
game.
lot of guys know when they're tipping is they'll come set higher or lower. Like that's a big tell for a lot of guys, and I'm like, you got these teams have so many people that are really good at evaluating talent or coaching. You would think that'd be something that they'd be like, so we like I guess they don't self scout as much during the season as they do during they do opponent scouting. I just something like that. Like you gotta find. And then so yeah, Judge was asked after the game what was going on with the side eye. And he's like, there were guys in our dugout chirping, just talking smack.
That was not a talking smack reaction. We all know that. That was a what's going on, guys? Like you watch the video, you look at his eyes, and that's what I saw.
That excuse was so poorly executed too, because you would have thought that, you know, he would have had time to like think about it, and the Yankees PR team would have been like, "Hey, dude, we got to clean this up," you know, and kind of rehearse something a little better than that. Yeah, there was jawing and everything like that, but um, Brandon, he was tipping his pitches, and
Yeah.
before I even saw the first breakdown about it, the number one thing that was lingering with me, as not only being a coach but a player that would pick up things like this in high school, guys, it's part of the game. Literally, everybody keeps on saying, "Yeah, he kept on throwing them sliders. He kept on throwing them sliders." But if you go look at the actual footage, and I challenge you guys to do this at the end of the night, when the pitcher set, he was playing with the ball laces behind his back. He was literally gripping the ball behind his back. The first base coach is picking that up. The first base is relaying that in real time now to the dugout because you can't relay pitches in real time fast enough yet. So the side eye is looking over to get a better glance at what the base coach is doing, being able to see the movement of how he's holding on the back. When he brought it to his glove, just like Brandon said, if you go look at the replay, when he threw the slider, the glove was coming up to the ear. So when you relay that you set your pitch behind your back and then don't flip it around in your glove, set the set it right here. And honestly, at the end of the day, he threw a slider that had no break on it, and it literally went right down the middle. Of course, that's going to happen. Um, I think it. I think there's a lot more to the story that people aren't getting into, though. That whole series was super strange. We had the cheating on a pitcher that's cheated twice now in the same season, but also to
Domingo Herman, yeah.
how petty Aaron Boone was the other night about talking about the third baseman, like, being out of
Third,
the
yeah,
third
the
base
The
is
coach.
third
like
base coach,
coach
yeah.
because they obviously appealed to the MLB about it. It just shows that the New York Yankees are who we think they are. They're a bunch of paper tigers. They can't handle scrutiny. They can't handle the media. They can't handle the pressure that's going on right now. I personally, I know we talked about it before he came on. I know that, a lot of people were talking about the Astros, not heating up and stuff like that. And, we're finding the groove. A lot of people have been talking about like what's going on with Padres offensively and stuff. Dude, I could care less. Both teams in New York are so far behind right now from everybody else, I would be more worried if you're a Mets fan or a Yankees fan over any of the clubhouses that everybody's talking about getting off to a slow start. Because when you really think about it, you know, everybody was talking about how it's going to be the Yankees and the Astros in the AL. For them to stumble this far and for them to not only not be anything offensively, defensively, or pitching at all, but now you have this that you can't even hold your head high when you're being scrutinized in the media is something very, very concerning of the mental toughness of this team going forward.
Yeah, it's I I feel it is a untapped skill that some players have, some players don't. Some players can take media scrutiny, fan scrutiny, and like use it and like make them better. Some of them like they just collapse. Like they just
Hmm.
like it gets in their head and they press and they press and they press. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on the Mets and the Yankees, for sure. I mean, the Yankees aren't playing bad. It's just the rest of their division is lighting it up. Like
That's what I was
Baltimore,
gonna say. I was like, the Yankees are
Baltimore.
six. They're 6 games over 500. It's not like they're terrible, but yeah, I mean, I was literally just about to bring that up too, Brandon. Like, Tampa Bay is still doing what Tampa Bay's done all year, and Baltimore's only 3.5 games back. Like,
Yeah, Tampa out of their last 10 are 4-6. And yeah, Baltimore, they're 6-4. Like it it's just crazy to think that Baltimore has a shot. Like if you would have asked me this time last year, Baltimore's going to be in second place in mid-May, I would have said, yeah, maybe by like a game and be like just over 500. They are not just over 500. They're 12 games over 500. If they keep this pace, like it's going to be close to 100 wins, which is just crazy to think about. Like that roster is so young. Pitching, they really don't have a top of the line. Like Kyle Gibson is their ace. It's not really an ace. Grayson Rodriguez is someone that could be. It just helps that Jorge Mateo is just playing phenomenal.
former
Adley
Padre.
Rushman. Oh my gosh. Adley freaking Rushman is un he has turned that franchise around in less than 162. What he's done is something that you can't find that. That's just something that he has. Like, he is phenomenal to watch. I'm really rooting for Baltimore just because they've been not very good for a very long
Yeah,
time. So it is great to see. Um, all five teams are over 500. Um, it's unfortunately only at this rate, all three wild card will come out of the NL East. Because we know Texas is going to come back down to earth and Houston's going to take control of the AL West, especially with who they're getting back tomorrow, right, Blake?
We all remember it from our childhood, okay? Got it. I'm gonna do a little throwback, okay? Just think about it. Hey, okay, everybody just do it with me. We're gonna be goofy for a second. Close your eyes, okay? Close your eyes and just imagine that you're watching The Lion King and you can hear Rafiki's voice. He has returned. I'm super excited. I'm super stoked. Chris, I was telling Brandon, we've been super busy. I've only been to the ballpark once this season. I got given tickets at the beginning of the week to Saturday's game, which is a day game, which was perfect. And then come to find out, they're about to announce that Tuve's coming back this weekend. It's crazy, Chris, because the A's roll into town for the first time this year, and literally Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are completely sold out for the A's coming into town, which is pretty cool considering all things with with the
I was
A's.
gonna
But
say the A's might be scared having to play in front of a full house. They don't know what
yeah,
that looks like.
Yeah.
I
They
think
had 2,000 at the game on Monday
I
or
know.
Tuesday. I don't remember. It was
So I think the craziest thing about it is, yes, you're getting Altuve back. Yes, you're getting him back way ahead of what we thought was going to happen after he broke his thumb in the World Baseball Classic. But you know, it being my team. If you would have told me that Altuve would have come back before Michael Brantley did at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have believed you. But also, too, the main question too is what do we do with Dubon? Because Dubon has filled in amazingly. Obviously, he's been one of the top hitters. He had a 20-game hitting streak at one point. You're gonna have to find him a spot, obviously.
Can he
The
play
crazy thing
first?
about it,
Because Brayu's
the,
not doing it.
well, the crazy thing about it is if you really think about it, with how little of a guy it is, with the way that he's hitting, he could actually be DH'd. Or at the same time, too, what I think we should do, even though he really doesn't need it, is I think we should save some miles on Jordan. Just DH him every now and then. I'm not saying like every game, but just kind of rotate him in and out and let Dubon keep swinging the hot bat. It's going to be interesting. We're finally getting the groove of things. Bregman's finally woken up. So it's going to be exciting to see, what a team does to get that leadership back in the clubhouse, and on the field.
Yeah. Texas, you have to keep your foot on the gas. You
Oh yeah,
can't you can't let like Texas. If you want this to be the year where you guys put it all together and show that you're a top team, you got to keep your foot on the gas because if you let up, because they're only up by 2 games right now, you
yeah.
guys have a bad week, and with Houston getting Altuve back, so I'm going to give them a jolt offensively. Next thing you know, they could be down 2 games, and then in a month it could be 6 or 7 before you
Yeah,
have
Well,
it
and
and
going.
two, I'm not taking anything away from them, but Texas, they have gotten their easier part of the schedule at the first half of the year. I mean, they've had 3 series with Oakland already this season. Um, you know, they have they have done great offensively, okay? But I think I said this last time around. We're about to finally get to the meat of their schedule. In June, they play Seattle, they play Tampa, they play the Angels, Toronto, the Yankees, and then us. So we're really going to find out what this Ranger team is come June to see if, you know, what they're going to do and how they're going to rise to the occasion. Um, it's interesting to see, because their pitching rotation has been pretty decent out there. A guy that hasn't really gotten a lot of pub is the way that Nathan Uvalde is pitching for them. But we all know with him, um, you know, Uvalde is that one of those guys, as weird as it sounds, he's a first half pitcher. Okay. I need to see a full season. And I know we can say that about a lot of pitchers, and a lot of closers and a lot of relievers. But another thing is, can he stay healthy? We know that he's had these small nagging injuries and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I mean, the whole situation with DeGrom and things like that, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. Not only that, but we need to see what happens with the core guys that they've actually signed with Seager and Simeon, who's actually struggled at the first half of this season. So, everything's kind of gelling for them with the issues that they actually have. But like I said, when you have your easy first half of the schedule divisionally, we're gonna really see what this team's made of in June and July.
well, it's really funny that you brought up strength of schedule because I was going to go the opposite way. You talked about how easy the Rangers schedule has been. The Astros have had like one of the top 5 hardest schedules so far this
Hmm.
season, and they're still in the position that they are.
They're
So,
For
still
sure,
the
two
fact,
games back.
yeah, the
for
fact that
sure.
they're going into this easier part of the season, it's
Right,
going to give them the opportunity to make that run. And like you said, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the AL West in this next month because I
for
think we're
sure.
going to see a lot of shifting over the next 30 days over there.
Well, yeah, and that's one thing too. I wasn't going to go that far down that rabbit hole, but Chris, you're perfectly right. If you would have told me with what we've played so far this year, not having Brantley, not having Altuve, not having Lance, and literally losing Garcia for the whole season, not having your Urquidy, having a guy like Hunter Brown step up into these roles, having a guy like France come up, he had a really bad outing the other night against Chicago, got blown up in the first, but then the Astros find a way to win it. And in the ninth, but I would have taken that all day, Chris. And we know that as baseball fans and diehards, you know what I mean? But at the same time, the best thing to do is finally start gelling in those last couple of months. And that is pretty much the easiest part of the Astros schedule because if you go look at this, we're losing games by 1-2 runs. Okay. So you and I both know those are tweaks getting guys back healthy and stuff like that, whether it's defensively or offensively. And I can live with that because literally I think that we're going to go on a tear from June through August, and I think by August we'll be talking about how far ahead we are divisionally than anything.
It will be interesting to see. Yeah, let's say July 1st. Where is Houston? Are they like leaps and bounds ahead, or does Texas keep pace with them? Like,
Right.
because like we said, Texas had an easy schedule. So do we really know what kind of team they are when they start facing more difficult teams? We'll really be able to see are they a legit team or not. Blake. So the AL West is looking interesting. Seattle's not doing well. Outside of Otani, Angels aren't doing. Otani against Baltimore this week, unfreaking believable. He
Yeah,
can.
that
I
performance that
don't
he
know
posted was
how I'm
insane.
continually surprised at what this man does. He's gonna make 500-600 million this offseason. Someone's gonna give it to him because it's literally having the best pitcher and the best hitter. So it's literally having Judge and Cole in the same player. That's not fair. It's
I've been really thinking about it too as well, and something keeps on coming up in my mind, obviously. When the whole Otani showcase was going on, everybody started bringing up where he was looking for. I mean, look, do we still think that he does what he's obviously done right now and what Ichiro did? Do we think that since he is from Japan and likes to fly back home a lot, does he, is that a major factor in what he's going to decide to stay on the West Coast?
I think so. I think he wants to stay on the West Coast, so I think Seattle is a possibility. Dodgers, obviously.
I
Padres,
really think, I really think, I'm not going to say anybody's out of the race, but I think one of the franchises that's going to throw all the money in the world out of them is the franchise that swung and missed twice. And I really think that San Francisco is going to throw the bag at them.
Interesting.
the only
Because you
problem I
think
have
about
with
it, they
that
they went
is
after they were heavy
maybe this
on Cole,
offseason, I
they were
don't see
heavy
them
on
trading
Judge,
for
they were
him
heavy
though.
on Correa.
Yeah.
They have the bag. And let's face it too. San Francisco is almost like St. Louis. Even when that team's doing bad, that's a baseball city. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I could only imagine like what that franchise could do if they landed a once in a decade generational talent.
Him, McCovey Cove, you hit so many in
Yeah, dude,
McCovey
lefty
Cove.
man.
I think it's too cold for him there on a regular basis.
You do? I didn't even think about it being that, But no, I'm being serious,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
no.
obviously, like, I wouldn't even look. I know money changes anybody. I think if somebody offers him six, he might consider like being in Central because I mean, you think about it, you're only adding maybe 2-3 hours more onto the flight. But I don't like everybody's talking. I don't see him playing on the East Coast. I don't think that.
I
I think
think
that's completely out of his mind with how close he wants to be to home.
I could see like Dodgers offer him like 550. Yankees offer him 650 just to give him extra incentive to go to the East Coast
You know what?
because
You know what's going to be the deciding factor why he doesn't go to New York
He wants
is
to
because he
win.
doesn't get the captain patch because it's already taken.
I mean, can you imagine that back with Judge and Otani? I mean, it's no different than Trout and Otani.
Could you
Because
imagine if
that's worked out
you
well.
had an actually like healthy Stanton that those three right next to one another? As much as we crack jokes about the Yankees, I've always thought that like what type of player could Stanton have been the past 3 to 4 years if he could just stay healthy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just like his swing is so weird. Like
It's violent.
it's so
It's
violent
violent.
when he connects. It
That's the only
goes.
way to describe it. And obviously, it's taken a toll on his body. But dude, like when he swings the bat, like I literally in my head go, dude, if anybody was in front of him, they would be dead. That's a murderer
Well,
swing,
if
you
you
know.
just look at like the exit velo on a lot
Yep.
of his hits, it's like 100, 105, 110.
Hmm.
It's like Otani. Like the amount of I would say 110 plus exit velo that Otani has, you're just like, that's just not fair. That is absolutely unreal. Um, but I think the Giants could make a move in the offseason. I don't see them trading for him at the trade deadline though.
I don't think the Angels
Like
do they.
you have to try and get something.
I'm with you, but man, like if I'm GM, I'm already fielding calls. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just to see. And I'm not talking about doing it right now, but I'm already fielding calls to see what I can do because you and I both know that even if a mid team that's fighting for a division or a wild
Diamondbacks.
card gets him, like
So
they
many D-back fans.
they
Why don't we
just
go trade for Otani?
they
Because I don't want to decimate our farm system. Because that's what
you
it's going to take.
literally go from being a long shot to probably a favorite on the betting scale, you
Yeah.
know. Because let's face it, if you think about teams, I know it's too early to like start like bringing out 12 or 13 teams that could be in the running for him, but it just you think about it, he is traded. That just that could change like the NL or the AL outlook because you're gonna
Can you
add a
imagine if he
guy
goes to
that's probably
Tampa? Like Tampa, I'm
like
just like,
oh
no.
goodness,
Well,
you
here's
could
here's
change
the
like a whole rotation.
yeah, here's the one thing that I've been thinking about with Otani is like if you're gonna throw a bunch of prospects or whatever at the Angels to go get him at the trade deadline, what's he gonna be like in October? Think about him pitching in the World Baseball Classic, like
Right.
going through the entire season. Like, what happens if you get Otani? And like I would never want to see this, but what happens if he starts to run into trouble late in the season because his arm's tired or he's just running out of gas? Like that's a lot to like bank on that he's going to be the same guy in October that he's been in April and May. Like to
For
to
sure.
make that move for a rental for a guy that you're probably not even going to get to be able to keep unless you can throw stupid money at him.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
great point, Chris,
That's
because if
why
you
I'm
go
like, don't
look
trade for him if you don't plan on signing him this offseason.
for sure,
Because that's
and
just throwing prospect away.
that's a great point because if you go back and look at his season last year, at the end of the year last year, the two times that he got blown up was first the Astros, and it was in September and in July. And when I tell you that we blew him up, I want to say one of the games he had 8 earned runs against us. So that's that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a dynamic that I haven't thought of. It makes you think that if let's just say a juggernaut gets him, you know, that is going to win the division, okay, and they trade for him and they let him go out there and pitch, you can do whatever you want to do. You could shut him down for a week, 3 weeks, or something like that, going in and go, let's just focus on getting you DH. Still let him get his bullpen reps and everything like that, but have a cap of like 50 pitches. That way he's keeping
Yeah.
loose. And then maybe like the last series or something like that, you throw him out there. That way he
Yeah,
just
maybe
knocks
the
the
last
rust
two
off of.
weeks. Yeah, like
Um,
just have him get a few starts in before.
yeah, that's a really good point. I have not thought of that, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man,
Yeah.
because either we're gonna have a splash and make stuff like probably the most interesting trade deadline if he's moved, or we're gonna be sitting here going, why did the Angels not do anything?
Well, there's still talk that Artie thinks he can keep him, so it's like I don't know what that man's smoking, but he somehow thinks that he can keep him in Anaheim, and that would be a ton of money out of that man's pocket. So we'll see.
I just Angels, I mean, they're only 2.5 back of the final wild card spot right now. So they're not out of it, but I'm like, outside of Trout and Otani, that roster is just blah. They have
They have Rendon and Gio Urshela, okay, and they have the clone that they didn't get all the attributes in of Mike Trout, okay.
Hey, you put some respect on Hunter Renfro's name.
Who?
Hunter Renfro. Hunter Renfro. Wow. All right, Chris. I'm sorry. We have to do this. We
Oh
we
man.
have to talk about
Oh
the struggles of It's just runners in scoring position with the Padres. It is
It's baffling.
atrocious. It is bad. But one good thing, you may have gotten the Juan Soto you finally traded for. Juan Soto the past 2 or 3 weeks has been, and I've not ever since he got moved to the 3 hole, he's been hitting very well. He's about it. No one else is. I mean, Tatis is doing his thing. Manny's continuing to struggle. Austin Nola is not a major league catcher. They need no, like it is.
Austin Nola has made me miss Austin Hedges. That's how bad things are.
I know you texted me that the other day. I'm like, oh my lord.
Because at least that man can throw people out. But one thing, like we'll get into all of it. But starting with catcher, that is just a dead position in this team right now. Losing Luis Campuzano with that thumb injury, and then finding out he's having surgery and he's out 2 months, it's absolutely brutal. Because there is no depth at that position, and a guy like Austin Nola is an automatic out. Wednesday's game, when he came up with the bases loaded in the eighth, they ended up pinch hitting for him. But when I saw he was walking up, I turned the TV off and walked away because I'm like, I'm not watching this. Like, I know what's gonna happen. But dude, it's incredible what's happening with this team right now. Like, I cannot figure it out for the life of me. Like, they're batting 198 with runners in scoring position, which is historically low. And you look at the talent on that team, you just have to wonder if these guys have this mentality that they're better than everyone else, and because they put all this talent together, they're not putting in the work. Like, it is just baffling me at this point, like what is going on with this Padres team. The Royals come in after a couple tough series with the Dodgers, who, just like last year in the regular season, we won the first game against them, and after that they just mopped the floor with us game in and game out. The offense couldn't show up. Pitching has been a solid spot for us. Our starting pitching has been great. Like, game in and game out, outside of Seth Lugo just giving up 5 runs to the Royals in the first inning this week, they've been lights out. It's just this offense is just stagnant, and there's something needs to happen. Like, unfortunately, too, I know you said Manny's struggling, but not only is Manny struggling, but he's got a fracture in his hand right now. And I was watching the MLS to San Diego thing today, and Manny Machado's part owner, so he was there, and he is wearing a brace on his hand, so that's a lovely sign. But they're talking about him playing through it, and I'm like, just shut him down right now. The
I'm like,
man
Manny,
is
yes.
the man has been an Iron Man for us for the last 2 years. There's no point in him trying to play through a hand when he can't hit right now. Anyways, like, there's no good to come of that. But yeah, man, it's baffling watching this series against the Royals. Like, you know me, I'm pretty optimistic when it comes to this team. After Wednesday's loss, that was the first time I was just like, oh God, what is happening? Like, I was starting to find myself questioning everything. Like, I know they'll get out of this funk, but this has been a nightmare a couple weeks to watch baseball.
You know, the one thing that comes to my head is I loved Mad Men, and when, when he gets in the elevator, I think of you, Chris, when he's like, "How you doing today?" "Not great, Bob."
Not great.
You know,
Not great. Not great at all.
you know what I mean. But at the same time, I look, I get it. I've been there, Chris. It's like it's excruciating, especially of who you guys have, the 1 through 9 that you guys have. Um, you know, and I did say this, and at the beginning of the year, the one thing that has scared me has been the lack of pitching depth, starting wise. But the sad thing about that is you almost turn a blind eye to those issues now with what's going on with the 1 through 9. Look, I'm gonna just shine some optimistic views on your on your side right now. I feel like everybody in the league is asking for a catcher right now. I feel like we've talked about that and hit on that the past couple of years. The
D-backs aren't.
power,
I
the
was gonna say.
power hitter, and
Okay,
the
he's
power
not a power,
arm.
but Gabby Moreno is just spraying the ball all over the place.
But at this, what I'm getting at is the years of your Pudge Rodriguez, your years of like all those guys that we came up
Piazza.
with that were power hitters and power arms, they're all gone. And it's almost like the guys that are making it to the bigs are the students that know how to call the games, okay, know how to break down film, and that's still a great piece of that position. But I just feel like every that issue. There's only 3 or 5 teams in the league right now that are like, we have a top notch
There's three:
catcher. Okay,
Phillies,
absolutely.
Orioles, and Dodgers. That's it. Everyone else, catching wise, is you have no idea.
For sure. But what I last thing I'm gonna do, and then I'll pass it off. I'm really excited about this whole thing. I think it's really cool that Manny is part of this. I think it's really loyal of him. You know,
You son of a
bringing
bitch.
them plus to San Diego, and I know Chris is probably gonna be one of their biggest supporters there. You know what I mean?
No comment. No comments.
I'm just
See,
God, the
not
messing
only
with
has
you,
it been a
Chris. I
rough
know
couple
how
weeks
much.
with baseball, it's been a rough couple weeks with soccer. I'm just
I
like,
know how much you live for that team, and I'm honestly like sad for you, buddy. Okay.
we can get into the U.S. soccer structure and how messed up it is at different times, but not today. We'll talk about how
not
crappy the
today.
Padres have been playing. But
One
But
th-
at the end of the day, just look at it this way: you guys are in the same boat as the Astros right now. Okay. Like, and when I say the same boat, I mean you're like right there next to us. Okay. So just look at it like it's only May. It's mid-May too. We're not
well,
even
and
saying it's almost
we
June.
were
It's
one of the
mid-May
top three toughest schedules too. So it's like we've been
for
in that
sure.
same boat where it's like like
For
we're
sure.
gonna get some lesser opponents. Like obviously we just lost 2 or 3 to 1, so it's not the best
Right.
start, but they're gonna
I
get
just
out of it
think
at some point. These guys are too talented.
yeah. Well, it all happened too after the Kershaw gif on the
Yeah.
scoreboard. So, let's not do
yeah,
that
that definitely did
anymore.
not help. Um, Xander Bogarts has fallen off though.
Yeah.
Like that one, I'm surprised. Like he was really good the first month. Last two and a
Yep.
half, 3 weeks, he could not hit
I
water if
I
he fell out of a
noticed
boat.
it. I noticed it about 2 weeks ago because I was looking at his numbers and he was like batting like 196 over the last 30 days or something like that. And I was trying not to like think too much about it, but then it's just continued to get worse. And it's one of those things, man. You just don't know what goes on. These guys are top level elite talent in baseball, and they'll get out of it at some point, but it's the peaks and valleys of the season. So let's hope these guys can kind of start to figure it out. Like you said, Soto has been lights out. Tatis is doing what Fernando Tatis does, and I mean, we haven't even talked about his cannon in right field and a couple
Oh
throws
my
he's made.
god,
He had a
that throw on
96
Tuesday
mile,
night.
yeah, that was 96.8 miles an hour on a dime. Like the kid is learning right field and learning it well, but yeah, man, we'll see what happens, but there are definitely some gaping holes in this team right now that need to be fixed sooner than later.
Catcher, center field.
First base, I love Jay Cronenworth, but he is not when at second base he is a very good player for what we expect from him as a first baseman. He's not at the level he needs to be, and yeah, he hit a home run on Wednesday, and his bat, he's doing some things, and he's pretty good defensively, but he needs to do more for where he is in the lineup and where he's playing in that on that team.
Yeah. But
Real quick
what are we like
before
44 games this season or something? Like we're barely a quarter way through the
44, yeah.
season. Padres are at about 500. It's not if they can correct this offense situation. Like they don't have to be the best, just be average. Like if they could be
Yeah.
average offensively with runners in scoring position, that's probably you'd think 3 or 4 wins. Now you're about where the Diamondbacks are, which I'm still surprised. Like I was high on this team, but Zach Gallen is oh my lord. Zach Gallen, I love watching. So I saw him pitch in person for the first time last Saturday. He was thank you, Brett. Blake, thank you for Strom, by the way. Thank you so much. He has turned Zach Gallen into a Cy Young contender. Like I personally think Zach Gallen is the NL Cy Young right now. I know it's a quarter way through the season, so you can't
Yeah.
really
so,
award
real
it,
talk.
but
Real talk.
Blake,
I was
Okay.
like he was cutting out. I was waiting for like a whole little like spiel, and I was like,
I
wait,
was
it just
too,
got
but
silent.
he is now frozen.
One
Um,
thing I really want to say quickly about the Padres before we jump away is we talked about runners in scoring position, and we talked about the offense just getting average and doing a little bit more. Of their last 9 losses have come by 2 runs or less. So it's not like they're getting blown out. They're just losing games barely. So it's like you said, if the offense can go from piss poor to average, it changes a lot of the dynamics.
so Blake, you were saying about Strom? Blake, can you hear us?
Okay, so real talk. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. No, we can't. We're not.
See, I feel like this is a bit now.
I really, really do. He's like,
Can you hear me?
but no, look.
Now we
Yes.
can.
Yeah, you look like you're
Can you
frozen.
hear me?
Yes. So, real talk.
So real talk. Where is Zach Gallen traded to at the trade deadline?
You shut your goddamn mouth.
The
You
disrespect.
shut your goddamn mouth.
I think it's like he joked about Otani's not happening, but I think the Diamondbacks could be players at the trade deadline, especially if they continue what they're looking like right now. Because I mean, say what you will, they're
For sure.
looking pretty damn good right now.
They did send down
So real
Alex
quick
Thomas.
before I forget.
Yeah. Or before your internet wins again.
Yeah. So real talk. Justin Verlander, third time out pitching for the Mets, gets booed at home. Literally at his debut in New York.
I I think the fans are just tired of the entire team in general right now. Like their expectations was World Series because if you look at that roster on paper, why not?
Yeah.
When you have literally two of the best pitchers of the past 20 years, both of them are struggling.
That's a lot of money to give up a lot of runs. But the one thing is, like, we can sit here and talk about like the Padres struggles and them playing really good teams. The Mets have had the easiest schedule in baseball so far, and they're still a game under 500. Like there is definitely some reason to be pissed off if you're a Mets fan right now.
For sure.
I mean, they still have a shot at the wild card. They're only 1.5 back. I mean, the East is the Braves. Like the Braves are going to win the East without a doubt. Like
For sure.
that, without a doubt. Miami is in second place, 23 and 21.
Shouts to Skip Schumacher, baby.
Former player and coach, right? I think didn't he play for the Padres too?
I think he just coached. I don't know. I don't think Skip played for them. I'm gonna feel really dumb in a second. But no, yeah, man. The Marlins are
Sorry, Cardinals, Dodgers, and Reds.
okay. Thank you. I was like, wait, he didn't play for them. But yeah, no, the Marlins have looked great this year, and it's like they're a fun young team, and so let's see if they can keep this up this year.
Luis Arias is literally one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. Like there's no way to pitch to him. So good luck. There's no way to get him out. Either you get lucky and he pops up or flies out, or he just gets on base, or he's such a great contact hitter. Like you'll see some of these hits, you're like, that shouldn't be a hit. Yet it somehow is.
Yeah. Well, we also too forget about the veteran presence too on the Marlins team. You got a guy like Soler and Yuli Gurriel on there too as well that are quietly having really, really good seasons for that team as well. I feel like we say this year in and year out. You know, Miami's got a good young core, but then they trade them all away within 2 to 3 years from now. It's just a vicious cycle until they can put it all together and make one run in one season.
I mean, if they keep doing what they're doing, they'll definitely have a shot there at the wild card.
Well, and I mean, shout out to the 20-year-old who's his first major league win today. Like bringing up a 20-year-old prospect to be a starting pitcher and him like actually like looking really well right now. Like that's really cool to see for them.
That run differential, they're minus 52, but they're 23 and 21. And by the way, they're doing all this with Sandy Alcantara not really pitching the best.
Oh, he's been awful this year.
So if he puts it together, that's at least one win every 5 days. Like that's what he was last year. Like he was a innings eater. Like I think he had 6 complete games last year, like 200 20 plus innings pitched.
I think, yeah.
It's crazy. Just crazy to think about there. So yeah, I'm hopeful for the Diamond. I'm really hoping that they can keep this going. Like they haven't gone on a major skid all year. Like they might lose 3, but then they kind of rectify it and then they win 3 or 4 in a row. So, which is just stay within distance of the Dodgers, which it's 3 right now. Hopefully the Cardinals can finish it and it's 2.5. So, Blake, any parting thoughts for the pod?
Yeah, series of the week this week is Houston versus Oakland, hands down.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 3-game sweep. You're gonna do what the Diamondbacks couldn't,
right? No, but what is our series of the week this week?
I don't even know. I haven't looked.
I mean, I would say it's probably Baltimore, right? Because aren't they playing? They're playing Toronto, so I think like looking at the schedule, that's probably one of them. The other one that I'm really excited about, and I'm excited because I, for the first time in years, get to catch a game with Brandon in person. Is we're gonna go see Padres Red Sox on Sunday together, so we're gonna
That's
go
pretty cool.
watch some live baseball together. So that will be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
I was
be at
thinking
the
that might
ballpark.
be series of the week too.
Yeah, I'm actually interested more just divisional wise to see the Braves just truck the Mariners this weekend too. So I'm really excited about that. But other than that, I'm excited to get back to the ballpark.
Yeah, I love going to the ballpark. It's literally one of my favorite things to do. I always
Yeah,
feel
it's
at
good.
peace.
Let's hope
when
it's a beautiful sunny day in San Diego. Since it's a Sunday afternoon, the sun will be out. It should be perfect.
Hey, at least
weather,
it's not
and-
going to be 100 degrees like it is going to be, like it is for me. That's why in Phoenix I don't do Sunday day games. I just don't. It's too damn
Well, they
hot.
keep the roof closed, don't they?
Yeah, but it's still hot.
The swamp coolers don't work.
No, swamp coolers do not work. So yeah,
I thought you had seats over there in the pool on Sundays.
no, that's like a 3-year wait to get into that pool area, and then you got to put down like $5,000.
Unless
That's wild.
Unless you're the Dodgers in the playoffs and you just jump the fence and jump in.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. Please don't. So it really doesn't make me feel good. Everyone, we appreciate everyone for watching this week's episode here of Bases Loaded. Make sure to check out the description to find all of our socials. Make sure to give us a follow. If you have not yet, subscribe to the channel so you can see all of our future videos. We will see y'all next time.